So today's the first day of fender flare trimming video fancy stuff number 1. And we got Gabe in the background here showing his beautiful blues.
Oh, yeah.
Working on his brakes. They were squeaking. They weren't really bad, but I guess, you know what, it's just time for some new brakes. Let's just get it done. And so today we're going to start with one side, and we're starting with the rear fender flare. This is the Rocket Bunny off a Scion FRS or Subaru BRZ. And so of course it's not meant for the Scion Tc2, but we're going to make it fit. So we've got a tab here which sits flush towards the body, right where the bumper meets the rear quarter panel. And pretty much I'm going to have to trim this tab down because it's obviously not in the same section that my car is in. So we're going to trim that down and see how it fits, because I need it to sit flush up against the body. But in order to fit flush, got to get rid of that. So that's going to be step number 1. And then we're going to go from there and see where else do I need to cut and trim, so that way this bad boy sits nice and flush up against the TC body. Alright, so make it happen. So we do all our own maintenance and our own work. So there's Gabe. Put it on the nice new clips.
Yeah. One of those things, I don't want to put the old ones, which are all rusty and crusty.
Busted looking.
Yeah. Now the pads still have surface, but they're really cracked. The center's pretty broken. It's making a weird squeal, which has an indentation here. I got the car almost exactly a year ago, maybe about a couple weeks over a year. And I hadn't changed the brakes, so I kind of figured, oh man, they gotta be gone. But you know, they're wearing a little uneven, getting a little funky. I'm assuming they got some rocks in there, broke some of the actual pad apart. So just that time to maintenance. Gotta get it done.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I haven't done any cuts yet, but this part of the body lines up actually with this side skirt line right here, which is cool, and that's why I stuck with this fender flare, because I've added these extended side skirts. So this is actually going to sit pretty flush. And so like inside, there's this tab here, which is pretty much makes like a little fender well. So that actually sits inside the fender well. So it's going to go like this. It still sits nice and straight. Now on the TC2, there's an indentation right here on the body. But what's cool is this ABS plastic will nicely bend. Of course I'll heat it up to just fit smoother, and then put a rivet right there. And it follows the actual squareness of the body line here with the body itself on the fender. So I'm gonna put that there. And like I said, I just have to cut this tab back here, so that way this part of the fender extension sits on the fender flare sits on the actual body. So let me get that cutting. Okay. So what I've done is I'm taking the time to tape off that end. So what I'm going to do is cut that tab there first, because that's obviously what's not allowing me to put the fender up flushed up against the body. Remember, it's easier to take away a little bit at a time than take it all away and wish you could take it back. So I'm going to do this little itty bitty piece first, and if anything, I'm thinking I might have to cut in, down, and then across. Make it really, really flush, but we'll see. So what I did was I put the tape. I have this little small hacksaw, and I know I have several different things. I have like a little rotary tool and all that stuff, but I just kind of feel like I could make a quick, easy line with this, like I did on the actual side skirt. So I'm going to use this right now just to cut off that tab. I might bust out the, help me out here, the rotary tool. What's the name of that bad boy?
The Dremel.
The Dremel. Use the Dremel for other stuff. Alright, so there it is, the tab's cut. So let's see how it fits. So Gabe had a good suggestion. So like we said earlier, take a little bit at a time instead of the full deal. So I'm just going to cut one straight line down that way and cut straight across. Put it up. At the end, we probably might end up even further in, but we just don't know. So take it one cut at a time. So trusty little saw. I'm just gonna make the cut down first, so that way it's where I want it to be. When I come across, I don't have to worry about any of it. I'm just gonna come and cut across this way now. Getting that starting line is not gonna be easy. It's pretty easy to cut since it's ABS plastic.
Some of you might say, if you have a Dremel, why aren't you using it? And the answer to that is that sometimes the Dremel will start cutting and actually start melting the plastic, so you end up with a real uneven surface, and it actually comes out kind of clumpy where some of that plastic melts and then gets hard. And this is a little easier as far as getting a straight line, not melting the plastic, not getting it too hot, getting it to warp, things like that.
Right.
So,
and that's exactly why we're taking this route. Dremels are great on metal, aluminum. Plastic in that melting is just a bad idea. Cut this down so it's causing me to turn the blade. Now I'm not worried about the most straightest line. It's coming out pretty straight, but it's because sandpaper will get that fixed for me. Just trying to make sure it fits is the biggest key. Sometimes with this plastic you can even use a razor blade, but you slip with those, it's not always fun.
Nope. I've had that happen before.
So it's still hitting. So I think just gonna go a little higher up in here. If anything, I might even have to cut this out because it's kind of pushing
Inward.
Yeah, like on the actual body.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. Okay, so unfortunately my memory card kind of crapped out on me and I lost some footage. So I'm just going to fill you in on what you actually missed or what you would have missed or because of the lost footage. But after saw blading this section out, we actually got a power sander with a 220 grit sandpaper, and I pretty much ran across the actual fender flare here. And of course you don't want to stay in one specific section for too long because the actual it being ABS plastic, the sandpaper will start melting the plastic, so you want to run nice strokes, let the power sander do its work, don't put a lot of force on it, just go back and forth and clean up the line and you'll get a real nice smooth finish. So on top of doing the using the power sander, we also worked on the cap. So on the cap, the plastic actually kind of stood far out like so. So what I did was I lined it up to the actual fender flare and got a marker and markered and drew a line pretty much on where it sat when it was lined up. And so then I saw bladed that off and power sanded that as well. I started doing some cuts here. I haven't power sanded that. I just started the cuts just so to see how it fit flush. And so we also were talking about getting rid of the hump right here on the gas tank opening. I'm actually going to leave that there because what that does is it keeps the fender flare pushed away from the body just where it needs to be sitting. So I'm definitely going to leave that there, leave that alone. We decided and figured out that it actually does help staying there, so we're just going to actually fill it in, cover it up. So all in all, this is what you missed. You just missed the action of watching me do it. But of course, we still have 3 other fender flares to sand and smooth out. I'll definitely get that footage next time, make sure it's recording properly, or that hopefully that the SD card is formatted right. And so that's where we're at right now. Okay guys, so this is the ending of this segment. What we've decided to do, we did clean this up. We stopped there. This is cleaned up. We stopped there. And what we're going to end up doing is, so it still follows the wheel well, cap it here, and get the molding clay and actually set it in here to fill in this pizza slice, and also to fill in this gas tank that doesn't exist on my car, and shape it, mold it, put this down, and just fill in that gap, and then overlay it with carbon fiber and seal it up that way. We can't go this route because we're going to end up exposing a lot of bumper. It's going to look really weird, kind of ugly. And so that's the best bet that we can come up with. We're going to try the expanded foam, but nah, I don't know. Gabe will talk to you about that. And also, next segment, we'll probably start cutting up and trimming up the front fender flare. Not too sure which route we're going to go, but being that this is my daily driver. So if it wasn't my daily driver, you know, sitting it here and leaving it here in the garage is no big deal, but since it's my DD, I'm going to still use it.
So, yeah, I'm trying to see if I can see both of this. The whole theory on the clay and the expander foam is basically to fill in the cavities that need to be filled in. We've never done it before. We've seen videos on it, just as YouTubers, you know, watching other YouTube videos. Basically a DIY, you know, and this is something that'll help you out. We can maybe try both routes. Say, hey, let's use the foam on the actual gas cap section itself.
Yeah.
And then use the clay on the actual pizza slice, or whichever one's easier, just to see, hey, this worked a little better than, you know, the other option.
Damn good idea.
And kind of go from there and say, hey, well, I didn't like the way this came out, so let me pop it off.
Right.
Kind of go back to the other option. But, you know, in theory, yes, it does work. Have we tried it? No, but
it's all trial and error.
It's all trial and error. You know, here we're taking an FRS BRZ kit for a Scion Tc2, and I mean that in itself is a, you know, it's kind of a hassle and you know, kind of a little bit of a journey.
Yeah.
But you know, ride along with us, like, subscribe, keep watching. We'll definitely be doing this some more. We still got the front to take care of, like Jason said, and
yeah. Subscribe.
Subscribe. Stay tuned.